After almost 3 weeks, league football is back at SJP. Crawley Town are the visitors to the park tonight. This is Park Life. Coming up on today's show, Matchday talks us through tonight's game, Jake Taylor gives us a lowdown on his football first, and everyone's favourite groundsman Chaz gives another pitch update. But first, here are the highlights of Saturday's 0-0 draw at Walsall.
Away from Tom Parks, looking to do a bit of damage. He goes past Sweeney. Parks has got back. Adebayo's shot was wide of the post. Key, the Exeter right back. His cross towards Fisher. Takes a little deflection, does it? Yes, it does. Williams. Key towards Fisher again. Comfortable save for Roberts. Jay will go alone. He shoots, and another comfortable one for Liam Roberts. In the penalty area. He's got late men arriving. It might come to Archie Collins. And now Jay into the side netting. Now Guthrie towards Adebayo at the back post. Good save. Really good save by Lewis Ward. His best of the match comfortably. And Adebayo climbed high, but couldn't find the opening goal. Up forward, goalkeeper Roberts comes and slips. Is this the opportunity? Well, a slip as well from an Exeter perspective. And that is that. Walsall still unbeaten in League Two this season, but they dropped down the table after a goalless draw with Exeter.
One man who's been lighting up the Exeter City season so far is Matchday. We spoke to him ahead of tonight's game.
That makes us 4 unbeaten in the league now, so that must be a good basis to really kick on and turn some of these draws into wins as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think we were a little bit disappointed not to collect all 3 points at Southend, although, you know, it's easy to say that now, and we obviously scored so late on, but I think going into that game, I think we felt that we wanted to go there and win, but yeah, as you say, 4 unbeaten is still pretty good. So yeah, hopefully we can continue the form and, you know, hopefully turn these draws into wins, and hopefully that starts tomorrow.
And Crawley Town beat Morecambe 4-0 on Saturday, who were top of the league. So, you know, they come into the game, I think, on the back of 3 wins now as well. So they're going to prove strong opposition, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's you know, an old cliche that, you know, the next game is always your hardest, and that this is exactly the same. They were, as you said, are in pretty good form, and, you know, scoring a lot of goals, and are quite free flowing. So, you know, we've got to look to try and beat them at home, and just try and do the things that we're good at, and you know, get the ball rolling again.
And what are you expecting them to bring to St James Park tomorrow?
I think we all know what type of team they are, and we just need to try and focus on ourselves, and try and keep them at bay for as long as we can. And I think our quality will, you know, fingers crossed, you know, show through.
You look back at the last few games at St James Park against them, and, you know, our record hasn't been the best. A couple of draws and a couple of defeats. Is that anything that comes into mind as players, or do you solely focus on the next game? Yeah,
I think it's difficult to say. I think this year is just so crazy. You know, I don't think we can really look at that too much. I think that's the same with every game now. I kind of think the history kind of is irrelevant. So no, it's not something that we've really looked at. But you know, as you've mentioned, it'll give us something to attack and head towards for tomorrow night.
And you'll come up against one of your former teammates potentially, in Tom Nichols as well, who'll make a return to St James Park.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Tom. Obviously, we're glad to see him. You know, sign there, and he's a good player and a good lad. So it'd be nice to catch up with him tomorrow.
Clashes between Exeter City and Crawley Town have taken place several times in non-league, but after Crawley's 2011 promotion to the Football League, they've met a fair few times in League Two. Here's Will Barrett's look back at historic clashes between City and Crawley.
Crawley Town will arrive at the park this evening full of confidence, having beaten Morecambe 4-0 in their game at the weekend. So far this season, the Reds have won 3, drawn 1 and lost 2, meaning that they sit just 1 point ahead of the Grecians in the Sky Bet League 2 table. Historically, Crawley are one of the teams in our division that we played against the least, with just 21 encounters, going back to our first game, an FA Cup tie back in 1972. Over those 21 matches in all competitions, the Grecians have won 50% of games, with 9 wins, 6 draws and 3 defeats. Just taking EFL games into account, we have faced today's opponents 10 times, going back to our first League Two game, a 2-2 draw back in 2015. Over that time, the record has continued to be pretty much neck and neck with 3 wins, 4 draws and 3 defeats. Only goal difference is where we can split the sides, with Crawley just ahead with 14 goals to our 13. There wasn't much to split the sides last season either. In the away game back in November, Dean Moxey pounced to give the Grecians a 1-0 win, whilst at the Park in February, Brennan Dickinson scored late on to earn City a point in a 1-1 draw. So historically, the record is close, and on current form, who knows what we might have in store this evening. But please be sure to tune in and find out.
Programmes, get your programmes. Today's issue of the Grecian Matchday programme is available in the club shop. You can purchase that until 4 o'clock here down at SJP. You can also buy it online on the website, and it's also available on the Matchday info app. There's plenty of good content in there from programme editor Will Barrett and the rest of the team, and that is available now. What was his first game as a professional, and what was his first game as a fan growing up in Reading? Here are Jake Taylor's football firsts.
I had some red and black Nike boots. I think they were, I can't remember what they were, but they were. I remember wearing them when I was pretty young. Yeah.
The first football match you can ever remember?
It would have been a Reading game with my dad. Can't tell you what game it was. I was probably really young, so it was definitely a Reading home game with my dad. I couldn't tell you who it was against or anything there.
Would that have been at Elm Park?
No, it would have been at the Badesky. Elm Park was a little bit before my time, I think. A bit younger than that, Craig. Come on.
I'm no good with dates. Well, that answers the next one. The next one was what match? The first match you watched live, but I guess you've said the first goal you scored.
First professional goal.
Yeah.
Would have been at Exeter. Can't remember who it was against there.
We'll find it. We'll dig it out of the archive.
It was at home. I think Liam Sercombe set me up for it. So that was nice. That was my first goal. I was at St James as well, which was nice.
I'm sure Scott will dig it out of the archive.
Yeah, sure he will.
Your first football hero?
Gianfranco Zola. I've always loved watching him growing up. He was, a really good player. Hence why I always sort of wore the number 25 shirt, because that was his shirt, obviously. So, yeah, Zola was my idol growing up.
The first football kit you owned?
Chelsea, Zola probably, 25 on the back. Who would have sponsored it? I think I've still got it upstairs somewhere. It's tiny, but I can't remember. It was Zola 25. I'm not sure what the sponsor was there.
Surprised, I was expecting that to be a Reading kit.
No.
Your first car?
Say that again, sorry?
Your first car?
I had a black Corsa, but I wrote it off, which I think Ben Seymour did the last time, so it's not good. A lot of the boys are sort of writing their cars off young. Yeah. It was a black Corsa that didn't last too long.
Do you remember your first day in a first team dressing room?
Yeah, I remember at Reading, obviously, there used to be an under-18 change room, and then you sort of move into the first team change room once you made an appearance. So I think I had Jake Taylor in a little locker. So it was, it was lovely, obviously, going in and, really feeling a part of it was wicked for me, yeah.
And your first appearance, professional appearance?
Aldershot, it would have been Aldershot. Must have been Aldershot. That was my first loan. Aldershot, I can't remember who would have been against there. Scott's going to have to dig again, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Aldershot.
Do you remember what you did in your first goal celebration?
I think Scott could have put a picture up he made a montage of my 250 games. I think my celebration was the picture in that. I think I did a little bit of a Shearer celebration and ran off.
Scott will know more than you.
He does, yeah. I think he is. I think he don't know what he gets up to when he was at home, but he seems to know more about me than I do.
And the last one, which Scott asked me to ask, your first red card.
I bet he did. Maybe Motherwell. I think I got sent off for Motherwell. One was for stopping a quick free kick, a yellow, and then the second one was for a dive in the box, which I don't think was a dive, but I didn't even make a tackle and I got sent off. So that wasn't a good time for me up there, but never mind.
So you could have been honest to say, yeah, it was a dive, but
yeah, shouldn't have. It wasn't a dive, I promise.
To the untrained eye, Chaz's latest device for the pitch may look like something out of the Middle Ages, but here is the man himself to explain exactly what this thing does.
Yeah. The firm that makes it's been around for over 50 years. Sysis, same colour machines. They're great machines. Certainly since I've been in the game 40 years. It is a medieval torture machine, but in its spare time, it's got some blades on it which go into the soil and aerate the soil in a similar way that the Vertidrain was last week, but not quite as deep and a slightly different shape. We're going across the drain lines, across the sand banding drain lines at 90 degrees. So hopefully we create some channels for the water to go in. Also, it does take a little bit out the surface of the shallower rooting grasses, which I don't really want anyway, so the odd one of them that comes out is always a bit of a bonus. So just squeezed another operation in really while the weather was good, and while we can. It's going a bit colder now, so the grass is going to start slowing up a bit, so my time is going to be limited as to how many of these operations I can get in once the grass stops growing, because obviously I'll start wearing where I turn out and stuff like that. So it's kind of all about getting what you can when you can, especially at the end of the summer months and going into the autumn and winter when basically everything will stop growing, and then we just got to hold on to what we got for as long as we can, really, as far as grass cover goes.
So these are very much kind of operations you can only do in the early stages of the season, are they? While you've still got a chance to.
Well, yeah, in the frequency that we're doing at the moment, obviously it's coming thick and fast at the moment. I've had a nice big break, so I've tried to utilise that as best I possibly can for the health of the grass plant and the quality of the surface. And as I say, from tomorrow onwards, tomorrow over the weekend and then into Tuesday, we'll start concentrating on the football side of it. And then we got back-to-back games quite quickly in succession. And obviously the football will come first, and then hopefully as soon as there's a little window again, I'll get back on it. And if the weather's with me and all my ducks are in a row, then we'll keep going as long as we can and keep the grass cover, which is kind of where we're trying to be.
3 or 4 games into the season here as well. How happy are you with how the pitch is, dealing with the games so far?
Well, it's obviously dealt very well with so far, but we haven't hardly had any. We can't say we've done brilliantly because we haven't had any games. So, the next couple of months is going to be the telltale. If we stand in front of this camera again in 2 months' time and we've still got anything like the amount of grass cover we've got now, then we can start maybe patting ourselves on the back a bit. But until that time, we'll keep our powder dry. But so we haven't had anything to contend with so far, weather-wise or the amount of play. So we'll see how it goes when it does start to hot up a bit.
For you guys, like everyone else, it's another season of unknowns and differences. Really, I mean, it's going to be a lot of games packed into a shorter period than you're used to, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, we're aware of that. I'm just got to go with it. Just got to do what we got to do. Get the games played on the best possible surface we can produce, and support the club and the manager and the players, with our side of the bargain, which is what we're here for.
Football, live music, anything you can think of really. Many things were cancelled in 2020, including the London Marathon. But thousands and thousands of people across the country ran it virtually, including Marie, who ran round Exeter on behalf of the Community Trust. Here she is to tell us exactly how she did it.
The City Trust option, when it ticked so many of the boxes that I wanted to tick, was a bit of a no-brainer. So things like I wanted to help as large a number of people as I could over as wide a range of needs as possible. It's quite a big job, isn't it, running a marathon? I started with the couch to 5k training plan, and all hail Laura, she got me through that. The issue was Pete, who is the fantastic fitness guy here says run the Santa run. We'll put you in the Santa run. It'll help with your training. It was about a month ahead of my schedule, but I said, yep, no problem, let's do it. Let's don the outfit, because I'm a little bit extroverted like that. Happy to do so. And when I turned up, Jamie Vittle said, don't stop, run the whole thing. He said, okay, yeah, no problem. Then I realised what I agreed to, and I did it. And I did my couch 5K, not in 9 weeks, but in 5, which was a bit scary, but keep the training up, keep going, keep fit through winter, keep trying to plug the groups, and worked my way up to the half marathon in the middle of March, and that was one of the last mass participation events before lockdown. Then the marathon kept being put off, and we'll tell you what's going to happen this month. And then much as we really want to, poor London Marathon organisers were not able to announce what was going to happen because things were still so up in the air, and it was really frustrating for proper runners. I could see on social media were just tearing their hair out, thinking, what do we do? How do we train? Do we train? Do we not train? And then July, they couldn't say anything. August came along, they said they were going to tell us what was going to happen in August. And again, it was, as much as we really want to, we can't tell you what's going to happen. We'll give it another couple of weeks. And it was really hard and frustrating it was harder for other people who run. I don't run, I'll just catch up. But it was quite difficult. And by that point, when they'd said, no, we don't know what's going to happen, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to pick myself a route. I'm going to go from Exeter to Topsham and back however many times it takes. And that's what I will do. So I carried on training, and lo and behold, we did the virtual one. So I could just mash those plans together, and it worked out really well. And the camaraderie between runners with the London Marathon bibs on that day was really special, and probably just a 0.1% of what would happen in London. So we've got to, we are able to defer the real London run to either 21, 22 or 23, and we could do the virtual one. So I get to do it again, and if these guys will have me, I think I'll probably try and raise a bit more. And they're going to need to get me another vest though, if they don't mind. I'd like to have another vest, because this one's quite special in its own way. I'd like a different one, if that's all right. But yeah, I'd like to do it again. Am I mad? Yeah.
If you're watching our 2-0 win against Cambridge here on iFollow, or listening on BBC Radio Devon, you may have heard our next guest, Hannah, on the airwaves on commentary. Here she is giving her thoughts on the City's season so far.
Thanks for joining us. Just to kick things off, I guess if you could just tell us a little bit about how your Grecian journey began.
So I'm probably quite young when it comes to comparing it to other people in their Grecian journey. I started following like 5 seasons ago, so not a long time ago. I've always liked football, and my dad took me to a few games when I was younger, but it just didn't feel very accessible to me. And my other half has been a Grecian fan for a long time. He just said, come along. So my first one was Haybridge Swifts in the FA Cup. Yeah, and I took my nephew, and it just felt, the atmosphere was really nice. It was a family atmosphere, and it like I say, it was just accessible. You could walk in from town and go and watch a football game, then carry on your day. It just really sort of got me a bit hooked, really. Yeah.
Good to hear. I mean, when you say your initial thoughts on football, that it wasn't very accessible, I mean, in what way did that kind of
I think, like, when you look at football on a Sunday, and don't get me wrong, it's impressive to watch, but when you look at the figures and the money that's involved, and it's just such a massive factor all the time. And when I went to see Exeter, that I really cared if they won, whereas before I enjoyed watching the football, but it didn't really matter to me if they won or not. And I think, and I just, like I said, it's accessible. You could see the players close up, you could see their cars, and that, for me, that just kind of brought it to life. It made them feel a bit more human.
Does the sort of the community aspect really help with that as well?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. You're sort of you just feel part of something, and you feel part of something small and mighty.
Saying so, does the community aspects of the club, being owned by supporters and everything, help with that close link?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Like I said, you kind of feel like you've got more of a stake in it, I think. And Exeter is a small city, isn't it? But you just want to get behind anything that they do, and it sort of gives you an outlet for that, I think, as well. Like you can really, really get behind the club, and when you go away to away days, you see the support, you see how far people are willing to go, and like young kids and quite elderly people that have obviously made a real long trip up north, and I don't know, yeah, the community feel of it is very, very appealing, because you want to put Exeter on the map. We don't want people to view it as, oh, it's just some town in Devon that doesn't really matter, because it does. It matters a lot. It's a cool city, and it should do well. We should do well. We've got really good ingredients to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, you've started following the club in arguably one of its most successful periods, really. In terms of on and off the pitch, as close as they could possibly get to promotion.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must have been quite an enjoyable ride so far.
Yeah, I think that helped actually, I have to say. And I was thinking about what are my favourite memories so far, and probably the pitch invasion. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm quite a moderate person. I've got a sensible job, But that night I was hoiking my kids over, like, go on, get on the pitch and get amongst the flares, just really getting into it. Yeah, and it was a fantastic season, and a really good squad, and yeah, it was a good time to start following. Yeah.
So that probably the Jack Stacey goal will be one of your highlights, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd say so. I've got a few highlights actually. There was a Boateng goal. For Lincoln City, that was good. There was a save made by Christy Pym when we played West Brom, when it was a penalty, and we got beaten that day, but crikey, we played our hearts out, and it was so good. So yeah, I've got a few really nice, good memories of of all sorts of aspects of the football, really. And when MK Dons came back and played, when Matt Taylor was the manager, and we just won a really good win. It was just it's those little, you got to take those little highlights, haven't you, as you go through the season and put them in your pocket. They're your good memories.
You mentioned there as well about your partner and kids and that. I mean, do you find the family atmosphere of taking them to the a Saturday at St James Park is really nice as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're a bit unlucky. Our kids aren't massively into it, so we'll say, right, let's go into Exeter, and we'll give the kids some money and pay them off so they can go shopping, and my other half and I will go in and watch the game. But there's certainly, there is definitely a family atmosphere, and that's really nice. Like I said, you see so many different people from different walks of life just going on, and for that hour and a half of the day, you're living moment to moment the game. It's really exciting, and that's what's really sad to miss at the moment, isn't it? Not being able to be there.
Absolutely. I mean, and as well as being a supporter, we've heard your tones on the airwaves as well over the last couple of months. I mean, you've been doing some co-commentary with BBC Radio Devon. How did that come about?
Yeah, that came about. I entered a competition actually to become a new voice for BBC Radio Devon. I work in communication anyway, and I love radio. I listen to radio all the time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try. And you had to do like a pitch. I think it was 90-second pitch or something like that. And so I did it about supporting Exeter City and how, like I said to you, I'm a pretty moderate person. I'm sensible, and we've got a big family and stuff. But on Saturdays, that all sort of changes to a point where you're like yelling at the ref, and like I said, hoiking your kids over for a pitch invasion. It's really, really powerful. So I talked about that, and I didn't actually win the competition, but their sports team got in touch with me and said, would you be interested in going and doing a bit of summarising? And I was like, yeah, all right. Why not? You know, I'll give it a go. And what's the worst that can happen? I can fall off the ladder going up to that gantry, you know, because that's quite steep. But so yeah, I do. To be honest, I think I'm the person that they ask if no one else can go. But you know, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a really different view of the game, and I was lucky enough to go and watch a couple of weeks ago and watch them beat Cambridge. Well, I say go and watch. I was summarising, but I was watching as well, obviously. And yeah, I love it. It's something different, and it's something I think. Oh, I hope my kids, you know, say one day, my mum was a football commentator. Random.
And you've also experienced, you know, unlike the very rare few of us, what it's like for a game behind closed doors, haven't you? I mean, it's such a surreal atmosphere, isn't it?
It's bizarre. It's like golf. It's like polite clapping, you know, when the goal has gone in. It's all just really everything's toned down massively, apart from, you know, the language, which you can hear, you know, amplified. But yeah, it's a strange atmosphere, and I think it does make a big difference to the game. Really, you know, I was lucky enough to see a win, which I don't know if we were really expecting because it was Cambridge that came. But yeah, it like I said, you want to jump up, you want to roar, and you want to celebrate with people, and it's just not that kind of atmosphere at all.
Absolutely. And tomorrow, Crawley Town play, who are very much in form, having won their last 3 and beaten Morecambe 4-0 on Saturday. I mean, that's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that's not the first time that's happened to Morecambe, is it? Because Cambridge spanked them as well. Yeah. It'll be a tough game. Crawley are quite physical, aren't they? They've got a good, you know, geographically, they're well positioned to pick up a lot of different types of players. But, you know, we've got it in us to beat them. I'm confident Exeter can do it. We're doing well at the moment. We're on form as well. So you know, St James's Park last season was a bit of a fortress, really. I know we had that bit of a slip up with Port Vale to start off with, but you know, we forget about that now. We're doing all right. So I think we've got it. We've got a good team. You know, a good squad. We've got a lot of people to choose from now, and that's really good. When you look at the subs bench, you think, wow, you know, they're not making the first 11. So yeah.
Quietly confident, maybe.
Yeah, always quietly confident. You got to be, haven't you?
And do you guys watch? If you're not commentating, do you guys watch the games on iFollow at all?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's made it again. It's made it really accessible. Even, you know, last season at the away games that you couldn't get to, it was really good for watching it on that. But yeah, we'll be watching it tomorrow night.
Finally, I'll have to push you for the traditional score prediction, which I still think no one has got anywhere near getting right, so no pressure.
Well, let's go for a 3-1 win. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win.
That'd be very nice. That would. Brilliant. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and enjoy the game tomorrow.
Great. Cheers, then.
There's no better place to be than a Tuesday night under the lights at SJP, and we really wish you could be with us. But of course, you can watch the game on iFollow this evening. So get Emmerdale off and iFollow on for a 7 o'clock kickoff here. Buy your match pass online and support the Grecians. Come on, City!